What do you want from me? Why aren't you scared of me? Why do you care for me? You care for me. You care for me.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
This movie didn't try, so neither will I in this review. That is a lie. I actually am going to try because I care about the quality of the content that I am putting out on YouTube. Something Madam Web could never do. So ladies and gentlemen, Madam Web is the latest installment in Sony's piss poor excuse of a cinematic universe. Matter of fact, I don't even know what this universe is even called. Is it the Sony Spider-Man universe? The Sony Spider-Man Marvel universe? The Sony Spider-Man Cinematic Marvel universe? I don't know what we're calling it. One thing's for sure. This universe needs to die. The film is directed by S.J. Clarkson, and it stars Dakota Johnson, Sydney Sweeney, Isabella Merced, and Celeste O'Connor. So the movie is about a New York paramedic named Cassandra Webb, who starts to show signs of clairvoyance. Forced to confront revelations about her past, she must protect 3 young girls from a mysterious adversary who wants them dead. I genuinely only have one good thing to say about this movie, and that's not even me trying to be funny or anything. Like, I don't have a lot of pros for this film except for one thing, and that is the cast, the 4 main girls. I felt that they tried their absolute hardest to save this movie. So behind terrible dialogue, a terrible script, and just goofy ass action scenes, not even their God-given talents could have saved this film. And that is, you just hate to see it, because listen, I believe that all 4 of these actresses are incredibly talented. They are super talented. And this movie does not showcase any of their talents. And I think that is so frustrating, because when you cast 4 great actors in your film and you don't utilize them to your fullest extent, what the fuck are you doing? Like, seriously, what are you doing? You're just... Dakota, Sydney, Isabel, and Celeste, those 4 girls deserved better. This movie did not deserve them. And now let us get into the bad, because my brother in Christ, there is a lot. Gonna need some water for this one. First and foremost, let's address the elephant in the room, and that is the editing. The editing in this film is so nauseating and so atrocious, you would have thought they let a fucking 4th grader edit this shit. Out of every single superhero film that I have seen in my life, this movie has to have some of the worst editing ever. I have seen better editing in superhero movie. There is no way the studio saw the final draft of this film with all the weird edits and cuts and said, oh yeah, the hoes gonna love this one. No, the fuck they didn't. Let me give y'all an example of how bad the editing is in this film. So, in the beginning of the movie, Cassandra Webb is in the Amazon researching spiders or whatever, blah, blah, blah. She comes across this, what was it? Mythical spider? I don't remember. Something like that. Some spider with powers. She captures it in the jar, and her research partner, Ezekiel Sims, the villain in this movie, he is killing all the other researchers that was back at the base camp. When Ezekiel Sims is killing the researchers and then confronts Cassandra Webb's mother, the camera randomly zooms in and out. Like, in, out, in, out, in, out. Like, go see the movie for yourself. Because me explaining it, you just gotta see it. You gotta see it. It's... yeah. And for no reason, it just randomly zooms in and out, in and out. And for what? Was that supposed to add tension to the scene? Were you supposed to add more fuel to the fire as far as the tension goes? Like, what was the deal? What was the reason? Those zoom in and zoom out shots did not need to be there. It did nothing. It did not add more tension. If anything, it removed the tension that was already in the scene. I have not seen a movie with this piss poor editing since that one scene in Taken. But at least Taken was a better movie. And the dialogue and the writing in this movie is just so cringe and so inconsistent. Like... I should have known better when I saw the movie was written by the same guys that wrote Morbius. I should have known. I don't know what the hell I was expecting, but it is rough. You got the corny one-liners, which is like, okay, whatever. But then you got other lines that I feel like it was supposed to be funny, but it wasn't. And the action, if we're gonna call it that, is mediocre. Like, there is not one scene that contains action that was memorable. Like, the action doesn't really come into play until, like, what? Well, there is a scene in the first act where you're first meeting all four of the characters, but it just looked so sloppy and poorly edited, and it just felt, it looked so cheap. But then we see the action happen in the third act, and I words cannot describe how disappointing it was. Like, there were moments where it actually looked like it was going to get intense, but that intensity dwindles down and the payoff is just elementary. I will say this though, with the action in this movie, at least you can tell what was going on compared to Morbius. I said it in my last review, but I feel like bad CGI is becoming the new norm, and I don't like that. In the case of Madam Web, even if the visual effects was top notch, it was not going to save this movie. It wasn't. Matter of fact, the CGI in this movie is worse compared to Morbius. I could talk more about the unanswered questions that I have for this movie, but honestly, bro, it's spoiler material. I don't feel like getting into spoilers because I just don't have the patience to relive that pain. And as one would expect, this movie has some crazy plot conveniences. Matter of fact, let me give you one, just for the fuck of it. Spoiler alert incoming if you care. You probably don't, but I'm gonna post it up anyway. I said I wasn't going to talk about spoilers, but here we are. So in the final act, Cassandra Webb and the three girls are trying to escape from Ezekiel Sims. And as they're trying to fight Ezekiel Sims practically pushed them all off, and they're hanging on to like the edge of this collapsed building. 3 different spots, right? They're all hanging on for dear life. And as Ezekiel is fighting Cassandra, Ezekiel says, "You can't save them all." And then Cassandra goes, "Actually, I can," or something along that line. And I guess she ends up using her force powers, like a force ghost, to save all of them from falling to their doom in this fiery pit of collapsed infrastructure. And I thought that was so goofy because, now look, I don't know if that's how Madam Web's powers work in the Marvel comics, but as I was watching that scene, all I could think about was that one scene from Star Wars.
That's not how the Force works.
I do hope that my explanation of these scenes are making sense because you gotta see this to believe it. And this movie does one of the most heinous things I have ever seen in any comic book movie ever. This movie had the audacity, the fucking gall, to not show none of the characters in their spider suits until the last 20 seconds of the film. Probably even less than that. I couldn't believe it, y'all. So in the third act, they're all fighting in their regular clothes. Like literally in their regular clothes. And and that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is called false advertising. Now, granted, they didn't have their powers yet. Well, I mean, Cassandra Webb did, but the other girls, they didn't have their powers yet. But still, the fact that Sony marketed this movie to make it seem like they would get their powers and their suits in the final act, just for them to not get any of that, is just borderline insane. In the end, y'all, Madam Web is pure unwatchable trash. I will never watch this movie ever again. I don't care if I'm with one of my homies. I don't care if I'm with my brother. I don't care if I'm with a girl. I will never sit through Madam Web ever again. I'd rather watch Morbius. I'd rather watch The Marvels. Hell, you know what? I'd rather watch Night Swim than this shit. So plugging Madam Web into the rank system, I am placing this one into the negative zone. But yeah, y'all, that is pretty much my review for Madam Web. Let me know down in the comment section below what you guys thought about Madam Web. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you never going to watch this movie ever again? Whatever you thought, let me know down in the comment section below. And as always, guys, leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. And I will see you all in the next one.